In the studio now, it's great to have as a guest in the studio William Peagler, mayor of Moncks Corner. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today.
What-
In dealing with people that I've never seen before, I tend to look at them and on the computer.
Yeah.
Understand you went to Austin P.
Oh gosh, where
I
you?
checked out
Yeah,
their,
I did.
I checked out their website, and couldn't y'all come up with a better slogan than "Let's Go P"?
Yeah, that's the march at when you play sports at Austin P is Go P.
Yeah.
That's a little school, art school in up north in Middle Tennessee. So and then I went to the University of Memphis. So I've seen you've done your homework. I've done a little on you. 10 years as the mayor of Moncks Corner.
Going on 10 years.
20 years as town council, and you're not nuts yet. So congratulations. Are you halfway there?
That's a 20 together because we don't want people taking it out of context.
Yeah.
But I've dedicated a great deal of my life for towards public service because with being an attorney, I get my living is made from the people, and I'm just trying to give back.
It's interesting you say that because I started looking as a real estate professional. I've had been very blessed in real estate in the area for many years, going on like 14, 15 years now. And I started looking at what else I could do. And while I applaud people who are willing to put their neck on the chopping block in politics, I beat them up a lot, but I applaud their service and usually their intentions. I thought my better position was just to try to get on the radio and help make it all make sense because the folks need a conduit from the politicians to the people to understand some things make sense and some things don't. And that's what we're going to talk about for a few minutes is in Berkeley County because we are in an area, the Tri-County, within a state that's one of the fastest growing in the nation. I think number 13, and will probably in the next year or two or three surpass Alabama and be even larger. So we're growing faster than average. We're doing a lot of stuff right and getting business here, but we're also doing a lot of stuff wrong. And I want to know from your perspective, why run for Berkeley County Supervisor? What difference do you think you can make there? And why do we need to replace Dan Davis, I guess?
Well, before we get into that, today is my wife's birthday.
Oh, okay.
My wife of 33 years, Neva. She's someone I love very much, and I want to wish her a happy birthday, and I appreciate you doing that.
Oh, happy birthday, Neva. That's great.
Yeah, I was born in Berkeley County, in the Berkeley County Hospital when we had one.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Berkeley County grow over the years, and it's grown a lot, as you say. And also from your website, it says, "Listen to you makes you smarter." So I'm gonna have to start doing that a lot. Okay,
Particularly Moncks Corner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the current supervisor has not created an environment that's conducive to getting things done in Berkeley County because we have to remember that our taxpayers are in fact our customers. They pay our salaries and we need to work towards customer satisfaction. And how could he ignore Daniel Island? That's one of those situations that is, it's come to bite us with them filing the petition for cessation.
Secession, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And then Friday we learned that, that American La France is, $650,000
Is owed to the
Exactly.
county, or is it the city?
It's a county.
County
Okay.
of Berkeley,
Yes.
they owe a bunch of money, so they've rolled up and closed shop and left town with a big bill left to the citizens of Berkeley County.
How did it get that far?
I have no
okay?
idea.
I mean, you leave yourself asking those questions, because if anybody owes me that kind of money, I'm going to be trying to find out about them. And from the information I've gathered, that it appears that there was a lot of signals out there that could have, shown that we need to sit down and talk with these people to find out where they're going before they got into our pockets more. And basically, the taxpayer pays for that.
They do, yeah.
Okay, it's not coming out of Mr. Davis's pocket. It's coming out of the taxpayer's pocket. When Dan had the upper hand, he had a minority group of individuals who were primarily Democrats, and he was ramming things down everybody's throat. He's cut the sheriff's budget. In fact, to the point where the town, Moncks Corner, is giving our old police cars to the sheriff's department because they're better than what they're driving.
Well, I always found it interesting out, and you talked about Daniel Island, and I lived in sort of that in-between between rural Berkeley County and Daniel Island on the Cainhoy area for many years, and I always found it interesting if you needed the sheriff, they had to come from Moncks Corner to get there. So the services to the area of town of the county that pays 25 to 30% of the tax revenue into the county it seems to be non-existent in some cases.
Well, and that's one of the things that I will work with. I'm very good friends with Wayne DeWitt. We've discussed some of these issues. Some of the things that I'd like to see them do is have substations in areas that have been hit by crime. I myself am a victim of crime, and I didn't particularly care for calling up and them asking me if I wanted to make a report over the phone. I mean, if you're paying your tax dollars, you really want somebody to come there and look at you and investigate.
This may be a little off topic, but while you bring up crime, because that's a big hot button for me. Just over the weekend, I don't have the full details, but there was another nightclub shooting and an event in Berkeley County, and it could be North Charleston, the next one, it could be Somerville, but there seems to be a wave of crime. The epicenter of it being North Charleston. It appears to me that if I'm just looking at it from the bird's eye view, that Charleston City crime's gotten better by 20% better. And it seems that crime has been exported out to places like Berkeley County. And it seems that we've got meth labs and we've got all kinds of things going on. Well, is it getting worse? Or are we just finding more of it? What is the situation in Berkeley County in your view?
Well, it may be a little bit of both. I can tell you that, in Monk's Corner, we had, when I became mayor, we were a training facility for other counties, municipalities, et cetera, because our people would come there, get trained, and leave because we weren't offering competitive salaries. You have to get good people in those places, and you have to get people who care. And if you haven't gotten a raise in the last 4 or 5 years, things have been promised to you that haven't been kept. As the supervisor, we have got to have a concerted effort and an agreement between the department heads on where we are going in Berkeley County, which I don't think is in existence right now. And to address the crime, we've invested in cameras and we watch a lot of things. We patrol the hot spots. I don't know what they're doing in the county, because I haven't gotten into that level of a relationship with the management of the sheriff's department. Obviously, as a supervisor, I will certainly take a closer look at those things and talk with the sheriff and what we can do, because my experience as an attorney has taught me many things over the years.
Just for the sake of perspective, what's your specialty in law? I don't know that.
I'm primarily business okay?
law. So you kind of get the aspect of dealing with people and the problems and challenges they face, and I think that's one of the things that people miss in politics these days is that you really have to have been in the mix with these business issues to understand how it applies to something as large as a city or a county or a state or beyond.
Well, if your businesses are constantly being threatened by people stealing, then your cost of business goes up. Compound that with the tax issues we have in Berkeley County and the bond, the relationship with the school district, those things are driving up the cost of business in Berkeley County. We also have impact fees, which I detest, driving up the business costs in Berkeley County. It's a big picture that needs to be looked at, but I deal with things from a business perspective and how we can maximize what we're spending and minimize as much of the cost we can. But
specific to Monk's Corner, and I know that we've had the spectacle of Mount Pleasant going through this for years and years and years. It appears to me now that Monk's Corner, particularly the areas in between Goose Creek and Monk's Corner on 52, massive amounts of development, lots of community services needed. You've been mayor there for 10 years. Is it getting challenging with there's a lot of people moving there? Have you, what are some of the things that you've been able to do to keep that on track to make sure you don't end up with a problem like Mount Pleasant faced, or are you beginning to see that?
Well, at the present time, we have good infrastructure coming in. We have a close relationship with the DOT. We are keeping up with when the roads are being paved so that we can make sure that things are progressing. As far as those particular areas, we have concentrated our efforts of annexation on those areas because it was so difficult to deal with the county on building and costs through the county, so that we negotiated with the developers to make it easier for them to build. And as such, Monk's Corner has grown by 25% during my tenure. Wow,
that's a big number, and we're seeing that throughout our area. I'd have to ask the question, Nikki Haley's got her money tree theory, which is basically where there's no budget for roads. Yet as the legislature comes out, in I guess 2 or 3 months, and they review everything, they tend to find about $100 million every year. So her opinion is that over 10 years, that's $1 billion or better that we can apply strictly to roads in her budget proposal. What's your thoughts on that? Is that the right way to do it?
No, because if you're betting on to come, it's you don't have a solid basis in where that revenue is going to come from. It's a wish, and you have to have a plan. I know that I've spoken with our legislative delegation. They are pretty much of the persuasion that the gas tax is where that should be. I'm a firm believer in a sales tax. We are building a 50-acre recreational facility on the basis of 2% hospitality tax, which Monk's Corner, this may surprise you, has a yearly restaurant business of over $30 million.
So that'd be 600 grand or so if I do my math real quick.
It pays the debt service.
And I don't have a problem. I will go in front of you on record again as saying I'm not for the raise or the increase in the gas tax, not because I don't think we need to allocate the money. The problem I have is that we keep going, well, let's add a couple of percent here and 3% there and 4% there. I'm a big fan of the fair tax, the flat tax, all consumption-based taxes. Help me, because I keep asking this question of politicians and different leaders around the area, and I don't get a real clear answer. I understand. I don't think the folks do either. Why don't we just tackle that issue? Senator Shealy has a bill put forward, Lexington senator here in South Carolina, that says let's eliminate the Department of Revenue tax, or basically the 7% income tax that we have here in South Carolina. And then perhaps we could go to more of those types of taxes, or that would incentivize business. Why isn't there more of that conversation?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
That's what you get when you cross an elephant with a rhino, and elephino. But, in all respect, my perspective on that is that you have people are getting older, people are getting on fixed incomes. And if they're not utilizing the services as much as you or I, and hence that should fall on us, because we're out there generating income, we're protecting ourselves, we're protecting our family, we're doing all the right things. So, and these people deserve more because they haven't been taken care of, except to hold out your hand and say we want more, and with that. If it's a user-based tax, not only are the people of Berkeley County paying, anybody else that comes through, if they, obviously.
Yeah, and again, I'm for the user tax. I just think that we've got to have a comprehensive reform, and I'm sort of getting to the point where it seems like I came to the area. We had our income tax is the same, but we had one of the lowest sales taxes. Now it's in par with a lot of other states. We had Dr. Sobel from the Citadel on here recently, and he pointed out that we've become, because of all these varying tax policies we've become 50% as competitive as Georgia and only 25% as competitive as North Carolina. So I know that we need the roads, but at the governor level, we're focused on the money tree for the roads, which, as you very well put, is waiting on the money to come, or hoping the money comes. And then she's spending money in other areas, which is education. I know we need help there. I don't think money's the fix in education. I think it is the fix in roads, but it seems like we could reallocate things. Let me give you an example of what I watch as a spectacle. People, half my audience may not care about the Highway 41 bridge, but this is something that Dan Davis has been commenting on, which will be your competitor in the race for Berkeley County Supervisor. We're talking to William Peagler, mayor of Moncks Corner, by the way. We've got a $31 million bid for this thing, roughly. They expected it would come in as much as $10 million higher. It's 55 feet at the recommendation of the Coast Guard. Most of the people that are the local yokels, I call them, that are leaders in the community, seem to want it to be down to 35 feet. Even Congressman Sanford and Tim Scott seem to be erring in that direction. And there's this argument over the bridge. It's been built on paper. It's been out for bid, and now we're going back saying, well, we want 10-foot bike paths instead of 5.5-foot bike paths. And the big concern is, I think that's okay, but there was no vision going forward to plan this bridge from the officials that put it together. That's the first problem. Then we have a debate on how high it should be. Then we have a debate on how thick these roadways ought to be for the bikes. And the problem is that everyone that's leading here seems to be missing the fact that if you put this back out for bid for $2 million worth of bike paths, which I'd be in favor for, we may spend $15 million more because we've had to rebid a project we already have a stellar bid on. I've said a lot to you there.
No kidding.
Help me make some sense out of this thing. This 41 bridge.
Well, I guess poor planning makes poor results. If all of these changes were advocated after they had done this, why hadn't they done their homework? Why hadn't they went to the community? Why didn't they have meetings to determine more of what the constituents wanted, what the public wanted? You can't just do things and without their input, because they're the ones going to be used, and ultimately they're the ones that are going to pay for it.
From your perspective as the mayor of Moncks Corner presently, and I know that this is a 30, 40-minute ride from Moncks Corner, but it's in the county for which you're running for supervisor. Do we need a 10-foot bike bridge from the outskirts of Mount Pleasant over to the Cainhoy-Wando area? Is that really important, you think, to the residents?
Well, if they're speaking about it, obviously it's important to them. As far as what their ideas are or concerns are, and who the numbers of people they represent are, I don't know. That's that elephant thing again.
Elephant
and a rhino, an elephino.
Yeah. It's hard to really determine because you get a lot of information out these days. People tell you see the media, you see the reporting, and it appears that there's a huge number of people against something, and it turns out to be just a very loud minority.
Unfortunately, that's so. It's a squeaky wheel.
Before we run out of time, Joe has one last question.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, you talked earlier about Daniel Island with the substations, for the sheriff's department and such, and then you got onto taxes. One of the complaints, or one of the concerns from people in Daniel Island, Hanahan, Wando, Cainhoy, was that they had to go all the way to Moncks Corner to pay taxes. Now, of course, there used to be a place in Goose Creek, and of course, it's a straight shot of 52 from Goose Creek, but it's harder for those aforementioned areas. You could utilize maybe those same substations or some different county offices, some satellite offices, so they can have those services?
We need to find out what services, Joe, are the ones most needed. Obviously, it's business. What do you do for customer satisfaction? The residents of Daniel Island are paying over 20% of our tax base. So surely we should add more for them, and for convenience sake. Again, with retired people who may not be driving, there should be substations at these areas. You can do a lot with a computer nowadays. I don't know what they've managed to do with it at the county, but we can do some things just by clicking.
That was a good question, Joe, and I want to close with this. We're talking to William Peagler, mayor of Moncks Corner. He's running for Berkeley County Supervisor. Incumbent Dan Davis is the present supervisor of Berkeley County. The biggest thing that's going to probably shape this election, in my view, for the folks, the electorate, whether they get out and vote or they're passionate behind one candidate, it may be Daniel Island. Yeah, it may be whether they ultimately want to secede from the union, so to speak, and join Charleston County, which I think is a bad idea regardless of the outcome.
Really?
But I do want to ask you, because the grass is not greener on the other side. They'll have other issues in Charleston County, and they'll have a whole lot less power in Charleston County and voice in Charleston County than they'll have in Berkeley County. But what should we do for those folks? I guess two-part question. Number one, did we promise them schools on their island for even the residents down Clements Ferry Road? And number two, what's too much for the? I mean, where do we draw the line? You can't just give everything to everybody it's got to be balanced for the citizens of the county as a whole.
Obviously, be careful what you ask for. You may get it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Obviously, if they want a high school on Daniel Island, if they got it, would they be happy with the problems it brings? Mm-hmm. The number of vehicles, the number of kids that would be walking their streets, possible problems associated with putting kids together, i.e., with cars and the
I
bad
thought
side
of it that
things.
way, but that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, so there needs to be some compromise, which is, I'm a team captain, okay? That's what I've done with the town. That's what I would do as the county supervisor. Bring people together because we can get more bang for our buck working together than we can fighting. And one more thing about Daniel Island. I would think that they would rather be a big fish in a small pond than a small fish in a big pond.
Well, that's been my position all along. William Peagler running for Berkeley County Supervisor, present mayor, Moncks Corner. We wish you luck.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Get closer to the race, and we may have you back on, at least on the phone, to talk a little further about the issues that come up.
I'm glad to meet you.
The Bryan Crabtree Show continues on WQSC 1340 and AM 950, The Voice. In moments, it's 9:27.